that will set you up for long-term success. Pick Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, you'll find dynamic career opportunities, beautiful seasons, affordable living, and legendary weekends. From its high quality of life and great schools to its fine arts, culinary, and pro sports scenes, Wisconsin gives you so much to look forward to. That's why you should pick Wisconsin. Learn more about making Wisconsin your home. Visit pickwisconsin.com.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships, March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Here in North Alabama, barbecue is a part of what makes our home so special, and great barbecue from Lawler's makes it just that much better. Since 1978, Lawler's has been serving up their delicious barbecued pork, ribs, chicken, ham, and turkey for generations of family get-togethers. Recognized as the best barbecue joint in Alabama for 2 years in a row, Lawler's is thrilled to share their award-winning barbecue for your next family meal or catered event. Order online or stop by any one of their 14 area locations. Lawler's Barbecue, cooked slow, served fast.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. There you have it. We're back. We're live, and we have an echo. Talking Ball. There we go. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. Welcome into the program, and we're going to get you started. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota, sitting out here in the service department Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. They can take care of all of your vehicle's needs. It's the Bill Penny Toyota service department, and big thanks to Talon Heating and Air for helping us get the show underway on a Monday morning, 256-503-4490. You can give the fine folks from Talent Heating and Air a call. Let them put their talent to work for you. It's Talent Heating and Air. And we join you on a Monday morning, and let the madness begin. Conference tournament play got started yesterday, and our good friend John Shulman pulled the rabbit out of the hat last night as the Lipscomb, or I should say, as the Central Arkansas Bears on that floor of the Lipscomb Bisons
of the Allen Arena.
In Allen Arena. Get it done over Stetson, the defending ASUN champion, 77-72 last night.
As their whole starting five went in the portal.
Yep. And so now it is Lipscomb, your top seed, taking on Central Arkansas tonight, and then over in Florence.
Yep.
The North Alabama Lions and head coach Tony Pujol, they will entertain Austin Peay tonight.
It's not pay.
It's not pay.
Never
It
was.
is not pay. Never was. Nope. But conference tournaments have already begun. Several teams beginning that journey to putting on those Cinderella slippers as March Madness now starts to ramp up just a little bit.
Yeah, it's March. March is upon us. So good luck to all those teams competing in the ASUN. We certainly are going to watch Tony Pujols' squad very closely and Lenny Acuff's, and that's your top two seeds.
Yep.
So we know that if it holds on the home floors, that the finals would be in Allen Arena with Lipscomb and certainly UNA taking the floor. Now, if there's an upset, if Lipscomb doesn't make the championship game, then it would be in the CB and C. Is that what it is now?
Yes.
I wanna call it Flowers Hall.
CB and C Bank Arena, the vault, the bank.
The vault. Yeah, the bank. Yeah,
Yes.
It's been renamed because of sponsorship.
Yes.
But if you grew up here, and I did,
It's Flowers Hall. Yep.
So, but UNA would have a chance to host. But still, I mean, great opportunity for Tony Pujol and Lipscomb. They were basically co-conference champs there, and Lipscomb won the tiebreakers. But that would be one heck of a lot of storylines for us for sure.
It would be
if they played for a spot in the field.
And Lipscomb, that they redid how the NIT works, how you get in. Used to be if you won your regular season championship in the mid majors, you automatically, well, any conference that was, if you automatically won your regular season, you got into the NIT. If you did not win your conference tournament, well, they did away with that process, and now there's some kind of formula and rating scale and all that. But Lipscomb's rating scale was high enough to where if they do not win the ASUN tournament, they are automatically guaranteed an NIT bid. So Lenny Acuff will get to play postseason basketball or coach postseason basketball for the first time since making the move to Lipscomb. So
I was thinking, did they not go to the CBI one time? I mean,
they did, but I don't think he was not the coach of that.
This is his sixth year. So I was thinking that they had gone to the CBI once during his tenure, but I mean,
they may have,
but I mean, this would be the first NCAA/NIT
prominent, yes,
because those are more prominent than the CBI and things of that nature. So
because UNA under Tony Pujol has played I believe in the CBI as well.
Because Lipscomb, they've won 20 games 3 years in a row. So they've done a great job, and this is his best team. And even in this NIL transfer portal era, he's slowly and methodically built it. And, he's had some good players, and they continue to get better players. But it doesn't surprise me because he knows how to build a program. He knows how to figure it out. There's no question. And then Tony Pujol has done great things as well. He's handled the portal, with aplomb, and then getting a guy like Jakari Lane, who was under-recruited.
Right.
I mean, this is a power forward guard that's playing at UNA, and if he finishes his career at UNA, and certainly hope that's the case after next year, then he's going to be arguably the best player in school history. I mean, at least in the top three. Okay.
Yeah.
So and been their greatest Division I player, because you have to understand UNA has still not been Division I even a decade. Okay. So they're doing some great things, and he and Tay Fields, his former teammate at Lee High School, who transferred in from the Division II level, have elevated that program.
All right, that's how we get you going this morning on a Monday morning. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed. 7:05 on this Monday morning. Over the weekend, the Auburn Tigers erased, I guess you could say, decades of disappointment inside Rupp Arena.
That's still stunning. I was on a show this morning, and that was still the thing that we previewed it all last week.
Yeah.
But that's still a thing I had no idea. Just never paid attention. Bruce Pearl's done so many things at Auburn. You just assume he's had SEC to regular season championship teams already. He's already won SEC tournaments. He's already been number one more than once. He's won it. What? John Kaler was playing.
94-78. Auburn gets the win at Kentucky.
And then my dumbass picks, Kentucky to win. Should have known that Jeff and the Burning would gag. I mean, Alabama gagged as well and lost the game they should have won against Tennessee, but it was a high-level game. But, I thought Kentucky would be healthier.
Right.
Like Jackson Robinson ended up not playing, and now he's out for the year, which is really damaging for Kentucky to make a deep run into the tournament. And I mean Sweet 16 or deeper, just because he was very, I think, crucial to what they do.
Right.
And then Lamont Butler playing his butt off, but he's just banged up. And then let's just be honest, Auburn is the best team in America. I mean, they proved it again on Saturday with how the game kind of played itself out, because Denver Jones has been playing so well and been scoring and defending. He gets a bone bruise of his ankle, goes out in the first half, doesn't play all that much.
I think he played like 9 minutes.
Yeah,
something like that.
Pettiford had been slumping.
Yep.
Then he comes in and he gets it going again with 21. He doesn't turn it over at all in Rupp Arena as a freshman. Chad Baker-Mazara has 22, plays really well. And then Miles Kelly just goes off.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you would have said Janai Broome has 9 points.
And that's what was going to be my next point. Janai had only a decent game. I mean, he had 9 points in the game. I mean, it took him a long time to get on the board, period. And yet Auburn still wins the game very impressively, just because they're a lot more than Janai Broome. So they're just the best team in the country. That's all there is to it. They've really already locked up the overall number 1 seed, in my opinion. I thought Texas A&M they don't have a chance in hell coming up in Reed Arena. Auburn's going to nuke them, and then Alabama's going to be going into a hornet's nest going to Auburn. But Auburn will already have the SEC regular season wrapped up. They do.
Yeah, they already got that done.
And then really, I think they're already going to have the number 1 overall national seed. Yeah. So credit to Auburn. They were very, very impressive in Rupp Arena and cleaned that place out with about 8 minutes to go.
The win was just the third game in 54 contests at Kentucky, and it snapped a 20-game losing streak at Rupp Arena. The 16-point win for Auburn, the third largest margin of victory over the Wildcats all time. 19-point wins in 65 and 84, and their largest on the road in the series' history. Yeah. Auburn's 16. 94 points are its most against Kentucky, against scoring 95 back in February of 24th of 1990.
And they didn't even win that one.
And so here's Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl on the significance.
There have been times I've brought really good teams in here and we've gotten spanked. And every now and then I walk away going, you know what? I thought that Pearl could coach a little bit. He can't, whatever. And so I want to bring a team in and I want to play good basketball. I want to honor the game, whether we win or lose. And we played well a couple of times and gotten beat. But this is obviously historic. Two wins and 31 losses and 33 tries. And for this one to be for a championship, it's what we do it for, to make history. This is our fifth team in the last 8 years that has won either regular season or tournament championship. So I'm just super, super proud and super happy about that.
Yep, there you go. That's what I'm saying. He's done so many things, and this was the last thing within the SEC that he hadn't done at Auburn. So he did it at Tennessee.
Yep.
But he checked off the box. He won at Rupp Arena. Won impressively, and I mean they're very likely going to go 17-1 within the league. I mean, look, Texas A&M's a good team, and they didn't help themselves this weekend. They're not playing their best basketball, and I'm not saying they won't play Auburn competitively within Reed Arena coming up this week. But
you'd have to favor Auburn at this point after what
how can you not?
Right.
So
right.
I just don't.
Because the SEC is so grueling, and it kind of leads into the next thing, and that is Alabama going on the road. There wasn't too many road teams on Saturday that found ways to get wins on the road in the SEC.
They didn't, and Alabama let one get away. They were better than Tennessee for 39 plus minutes. The only time they trailed in the second half before the buzzer shot was very briefly 70-68, which they came back and got the lead. I think they're better than Tennessee. I thought that after watching the game. There were some tough calls that went against them down the stretch, but the bottom line is they would have won the game if they executed some things fundamentally, and that's blocking out and then making free throws. If they do that, Tennessee's not winning the game. But they didn't block out, and there were some coaching tactical errors made. And Nate Oates wore it as he always does. He didn't have Muhammad Diobade in there. He should have subbed in some different. He should have had him in the basketball game for when Lanier missed the free throw. Now you don't know that he's going to miss it. Usually he's a good enough shooter. He's going to knock it down. But if you have Mo in there, much better chance to get the rebound. And then get fouled and go back to the line. Now you have to convert, but it goes back to my point. If you make free throws and you rebound, then you win the game.
Right.
And because I think you keep the game at 4 points. And another thing, Alabama probably should have been up 10 at halftime. Was Zakai Ziegler with the 2 fouls. They missed too many free throws then and layup opportunities. But still, down the stretch of the game, the 2 fundamental things, rebounding and blocking out, and then free throw shooting. If you do those 2 things in 3, I guess you could say it's 2-pronged, blocking out, then grabbing the rebound.
Right.
I think you beat Tennessee, but you didn't block out, you didn't rebound, and then you missed free throws and you allowed them to hang around. Now people are going to talk about the inbound play, and yes, he should have called timeout when it probably got to 3 Mississippi, so to speak, in your head. He should have called timeout and reset. But he didn't. And then I know people talk about they didn't pressure him enough on defense. Probably should have picked it up a little sooner, but that was kind of a scramble type situation. And again, the guy made a 35-foot plus shot. Congratulations. He made it. I mean, and of course, the officials could have given Rick Barnes a timeout. They were pissed off they didn't get the timeout until the ball went in the basket. So it is what it is. But the last 2 things, the timeout on the inbound,
right,
and then the last second shot, there's no guarantee Alabama is going to even make it if they get the timeout before the 5-second call. But they would have already had the damn game won if they blocked out, rebounded, and made free throws.
Well, to your
the game
point,
could have already been over.
They shot 65% from the line, 17 of 26
Not good enough
in the ball game.
Nope. And they've done that some other games this year. So they've got to improve their free throw shooting and their execution, and then they've got to rebound the basketball. When you've got a 4-point lead with under a minute to go, you basically have got the game won if you just execute fundamentally. Okay. And so it never should have gotten tied. It never should have been that kind of situation. Alabama should have won the game and should have led nearly wire to wire the entire second half. So, but I will say this, even in a loss, you can improve. And I thought Alabama improved. I thought they played much better basketball. If they keep playing at that level, they're going to be really good and really dangerous now that we've flipped the calendar to March. And I just think overall, I'm still very encouraged with what I saw out of Alabama. They got to clean some things up, but and now they got some help from Vanderbilt.
Yes, they did.
Big time second half, big time overtime to beat Missouri at home. And when you look at the standings, Scott, if Alabama beats Florida on Senior Day on Wednesday, they've locked up a top 4 seed. They'll get the double bye, and then they'd have the tiebreaker over Florida. And if they could get a little bit of help from Ole Miss, who will host the Tennessee Vols, then they could still be the 2 seed behind Auburn. So because Auburn's going to be the 1, we all know that. It's just who's going to be 2, 3, and 4, and the top. And I'll just say this too, with that win for Vanderbilt over Missouri, I think we now see who the top 4 are going to be. It's going to be Auburn, and then Alabama, Florida, Tennessee in some order. That's your top 4 in my opinion. Those are going to be the 4 teams that get the double bye.
Here's Nate Oates after the game on Saturday.
I'm going to take most of the blame in the last 30 seconds. It's on me. Got subbed our bigs out to get the rebound before I shouldn't have subbed them out until after we secured the rebound. So that was on me, and then I had a chance to call timeout. Coaches can call timeouts on the underneath of the bounds play. And at 4, I should have called it. Thought we were getting it in, and that's on me. So, and then we probably could have had better guys in, being a little smaller at the end with the 3.8 on the clock to make sure they didn't get the ball up the floor. So we work on in the game situations in practice and expect our players to be good at them. And I was not good for the last 30 seconds today. So I feel like I failed these guys, for 39 and a half minutes. They outplayed them. They were up 4. Tough call on Grant's verticality. play there at the end, but it's the game of basketball. There are a lot of tough calls in the game. Worst case scenario is they make a free throw. We still have the ball with 30 seconds to go, up one. And I should have left the guys in to make sure that we secured it before we got to the offensive end. And we give up, we foul, getting the rebound at the free throw line. They make 2 for 2, which you got to give them credit. We got to do a better job making our free throws. They shoot 73%. We shoot 65%. We shot 50% at the rim, 65% at the line. It's hard to win big games like this, but we're still up 4 with 30 seconds to go, and too many coaching mistakes in the last 30 seconds.
There you go. As you mentioned, Nate Oates owned it, and he did right there.
You can't own it any better than that. I mean, that's why I was just sort of just chuckling at the reaction from the people that have the basketball IQ of a brick.
All right. Well, I tell you what, let's how about we punch our first break of the morning. When we come back, we'll get out to some of these phone calls, 256-576-4977. Talk more SEC basketball from over the weekend. It's Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We're dealing with a heavy traffic load this morning, but I don't see anything on the board accident-wise. No stalls, no traffic signal headaches that we found. You be careful on your trip in. Put extra room in there so you got someplace to go if something does go wrong. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships, March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
This is Steve Moulton from 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and this is What's Happening. Be sure and download our app. Just search 977 ESPN in your Google Marketplace or your Apple Store, depending on your device, so you can take us wherever you might go. And you can also check out our latest zone deals. Head over to our website, 977ESPN.com. The top left banner reads, "Savings never tasted so good." Click on that, then enter in the big zone deals store for half-off zone deals of Lawler's Barbecue, Sea Salt, Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bubby's Diner, Corlejos Mexican Grill, Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, Divergence, Full Moon Barbecue, Bigfoot Little Donuts, Hickory Store Barbecue, Good Company Cafe, Apple Lane Farms, the Decatur location, and rounds of golf at Cherokee Ridge Golf Course and Gunter's Landing. And that's what's happening.
And now a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
But that trick never worked.
Oh, there you go. Steve Perry.
One of the greatest
Journey.
voices of all time.
Oh, man. Fantastic.
He's one of these guys, when you're a kid and you hear the voice, you never forget it.
No.
And then when you hear it again, you're like, who is that? And then, you watch Behind the Music, and then you go buy a CD.
Yep.
And then you play it on the Huntsville Flight bus like 16 times in a row.
Or the cassette tape.
Well, I didn't
have the cassette tape back in the day.
No, you bought the cassette. I bought the greatest hits CD.
Well, they had the greatest hits on the cassette tape.
Yeah.
And they had the greatest hits on the cassette tape.
Right.
Because you had the radio or the whatever they called it. You had had cassette A and cassette B.
Yeah.
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 And so then your friends would be like, "Hey, man, if I bring you a cassette, can you
put it on one side?
Can you dub it for me?
Back in those days, you dub cassettes for people.
Yep.
Yeah. If you tell that to a millennial right now, they'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Oh.
I mean, I used to do the same thing. All this dub stuff. I mean,
Yep. Used to be able, like, man, I tell you what, I've got some Def Leppard and AC/DC. I'll trade you whatever. If
right.
I'll make you two if you can make me these two. And you never had to buy the whole thing because you traded.
How excited I was when I got my first CD player in a car. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, do they still make them with CD players anymore?
Not really. I mean, with my new car, no. It's all streaming.
Yeah, you don't need it anymore.
Because I asked them when I got looked at like I had three heads. I was like, does this thing still have a CD? Because I think the car before that, my 2015, was one of the last ones that had one. And then all of a sudden they're like, CD player. What's that? No. So in other words, you're paying for a streaming service.
Yeah. Well, I have the Apple Music, and so it just plays in the car. So I mean, I don't even.
It's just like, okay,
don't even know. All right. We talked a lot about Alabama and Auburn and their outcomes on Saturday. The rest of the league, Florida notched the win over Texas A&M, 89-70. We mentioned Vanderbilt getting by Missouri, 97-93 in overtime. Talking about letting one get away. Missouri actually had the lead late in that ball game. Vanderbilt hits a three in the closing seconds to tie it. Goes to overtime, and then Vanderbilt runs away with it in overtime. Vanderbilt actually dominated the overtime session there.
That was big for Alabama. I was watching that game closely because Missouri had the tiebreaker.
Yes, and they had control of that ball game. They did.
Needed some help. I mean, they were kind of like Alabama. They controlled it for much of the game in Nashville, but Vanderbilt's very tough. But the turd of the weekend has to go to Arkansas.
There you go. How about this? John Calipari has coached a gabillion ball games.
Yeah, it really has.
On Saturday, his Arkansas Razorbacks, well, they etched a new history low for a John Calipari-led basketball team. In 20 minutes of action in the first half, the Arkansas Razorbacks managed to score 14 points.
I mean, at one time, Scott, I checked the score, and there was this was the under 8-minute media timeout, man. It was 60-28. 28.
They scored 14 in the first half. They end up falling 72-53. And then Ole Miss over Oklahoma, Texas over Georgia. I tell you what, let's get a phone call in first, and then we'll go over Joe Lunardi's Sunday bracketology report. But let's slip in Mark from Spring Hill. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Mark.
Hey, morning, guys. Drew, you nailed it. I've read a couple reports, like from Tuscaloosa News, some of these others, the sky's falling. Alabama, I thought played well. Thought they improved as well. I went back and put a stopwatch on that 5-second call, and I did it 3 times, and it was 4.2 when they let the ball go. So, at the end of the day, I mean, no one's going to bring that up, but did you not notice that was a pretty quick 5?
I mean, it seemed to be a little bit, but I was more frustrated that they didn't call timeout but when you get to like almost when you get to in your head 3 Mississippi and he hasn't let the ball go, you could kind of tell LeBaron didn't really see anybody open. And Alabama's inbounds plays need to be kind of revamped anyway, but he should have called timeout. I thought he was going to. Actually, when they blew the whistle, I thought it was because Alabama called timeout. I thought they were going to give Alabama a timeout, reset, try to get it in, you get the ball in bounds. I was still frustrated just simply because it never should have come to that. Alabama still should have been ahead. The orange folks should have been heading to the exits, cussing out Tony Basilio because they blew a game to Alabama, but it just didn't happen. Alabama didn't finish it. But I will say this, if I were Alabama, I'd play Tennessee in the parking lot, anywhere they wanted to play. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
I hope we see your ass in Nashville because we're going to beat it. That's what I'd tell them.
I agree. I think Alabama would beat them 7 out of 10 times. The other thing is if Alabama ends up a 2 seed in the overall national polls, the bracket, that might not be a bad idea, especially I know Auburn would probably be number 1 in the South, but would Alabama be better as a 1 out? Well, they're not going to be probably a 1, but be a 2 in the South. Is that best for Alabama?
I mean, look, I think Alabama shouldn't even be worried about it. I think what they should be focusing on is trying to beat Florida, get the double bye. Then you got house money going to Auburn. Then play as hard as you can. And if you could find a way, it's going to be extremely difficult because Auburn's the best team in America. And, I was called a homer by somebody on X and said after I was defending Nate Oates.
Right.
Because I think this guy basically wanted Nate Oates strung up and fired because they blew a game in the last 30 seconds. I'm sitting there thinking, I guess you hadn't watched a lot of basketball. A lot of coaches lose games. I mean, Bruce Pearl lost at home to Florida, but again, it is what it is. I think Alabama should be focused on beating the Gators, sending the seniors out in their last home game, and then that gets you the double bye, and then you go play as hard as you can over at Auburn. Give yourself a chance in that game, even though it's going to be extremely difficult. I mean, people always react so emotionally. Well, Alabama's going to lose by 25 at Auburn. I don't believe that. I do think Auburn's the definitive favorite. I think they should be, but if you can acquit yourself well and then win some games in Nashville, I still think there's a path for Alabama to be a 1 seed.
Right.
I think 2 is the floor, and then people want to say, but they're not. Look, here's the deal: Auburn is very likely going to be the number 1 seed in the South. Alabama's not going to be in Auburn's bracket.
No.
Okay, Alabama would, for me. This is the way I would put it. I don't care how talented they are because I don't think they've played anybody. And I'm a Duke fan, but if I were Alabama, I wouldn't mind being the 2 seed with Duke. You know what I'm saying? Like, put me in the East, and and if we get to the regional final, we play the Duke Blue Devils. Let's go.
Joe Lunardi. Now he will release the whole entire field later today.
Right.
On Sunday, he comes out and he puts out his top 4 seeds, and he puts out his 4 buys, 4 in, 4 out, and next 4 out. So after the loss to Tennessee, he put Alabama down as a 2 seed. They're the 5 seed overall. Right. So they're just on that bubble of being a 1 seed, 2 seed.
Right.
But he has them in the Midwest, and he's had them in the Midwest.
1, I think that's what I saw.
Houston slides into the 3 seed. Tennessee is the 4 seed.
Yeah.
So it's Auburn 1, Duke 2, Houston 3. And Houston won the Big 12 regular season.
They did.
And then Tennessee as the 4. He has Alabama as the 5 in the Midwest, followed by Florida as the 6th seed in the East. Michigan State is the 7, and Iowa State is the 8. So those are your 1 through 8 seeds as far as Joe Lunardi goes. Now, this is what's interesting to me. And he has them trending down, but he still has them in the last 4 in Arkansas.
Well, they better hurry up. I mean, here's the thing. And they did sweep Texas, but I made a mistake this morning. They had already done that. But Arkansas, to me, I thought about this morning. I've already said South Carolina and LSU have to win the tournament. Not going to happen. Both of them are done. I mean, if they win 1 game in Nashville, it'll be a miracle. So, but it comes down to me, 4 teams for 1 spot. I really don't think, because Vanderbilt has cemented themselves. They're the 10th.
Right.
Okay. So the top 10 are getting in. They're locks to get in the tournament right now. I think when you talk about Arkansas, Texas, Georgia, and basically when you think about those, there's 4 teams I think that are battling it out. Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and Georgia for one spot. I think that's 4 teams battling it out for one spot. And Georgia went a million miles because I'd kind of given up on them. They went to Texas and laid waste to the Longhorns.
Right.
So I think the Longhorns are in big, big trouble. They've already been swept by Arkansas. Arkansas has got 2 games left, but I think they got to win them both, and I think they may lose them both. And that's just my opinion. One of them is in Bud Walton at least, so they could win at home. But I think they're going to lose at Vanderbilt. I just don't like their chances against Vandy. I think Vandy's been spectacular at home. And then when you think about the rest of that, when you start thinking about who they got left, they got Mississippi State at home. And Mississippi State, I mean, they've been up and down, but they're a good team playing for seed. And I just think if Mississippi State, beats Arkansas and they lose out to end the regular season, I don't think you can put them in the tournament. And Oklahoma lost. They did, and they blew a chance to win at Ole Miss, which would have helped them tremendously. I just don't see Georgia's schedule, to me, Scott, is the most advantageous with what they have left.
He has Georgia still as a last 4 in. He has Georgia, Arkansas, and Oklahoma as last 4 ins. Now, this was on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see what he puts this morning.
It's dangerous, though, because turds have been laid. Because, look, Georgia has to go to South Carolina. And I'll give Lamont Parrish credit, man. In this day of NIL and the transfer portal and all that, you would think that South Carolina just mail it in.
Be done.
You know what I'm saying? And be done.
Yep.
But they've been playing hard down the stretch. And so they just
look, they've had close ball games
all year.
But
they haven't mailed it in. And so to me, if Georgia could win at South Carolina, and that's no guarantee here after what we saw, what we've seen South Carolina do in the last week and a half. They played much better basketball and they eviscerated Arkansas. But if they could win at South Carolina, they're at home on Saturday, Georgia is, against Vanderbilt. Now, is that an easy game? No. But if Georgia could win it, and they've been really good at home for the most part, if Georgia could win those last 2 games and get to 20-11, I think they're the 11th team. I think that would even probably have them going into Nashville, or, if they just won 1 game, they could feel really good about it. And even if they didn't, if they got upset, I still think they'd be in solid shape. But I think Georgia has the best opportunity. I just, to me, eventually it's got to come down to how many wins can you get.
Right.
I just don't. Right. Oklahoma's got to go to Texas. They haven't had a lot of luck against them, and that'll be on Saturday. And then Oklahoma hosts Missouri. I mean, I know Mizzou's been much better, at home. But, I mean, to me, if Oklahoma wants to get in the NCAA tournament, they've got to win both those games. They've got to find a way to beat Mizzou at home, and then you've got to go on the road and beat Texas, who has just been enigmatic as all get out. Because I've been believing in Texas, and said for a few weeks I thought they were going to get in, but once they got swept by Arkansas. And then just really, I thought that was horrible on Saturday. Hey, you had Georgia at home. And you didn't just get beat.
No. You
got blown out.
You were not in that ball game.
And I don't see Texas winning at Mississippi State on Tuesday. So I see Mississippi State getting that one done. And so if Texas loses that game, you're 16-14 heading to your last game against OU. And then even if you beat OU, you're 17-14. To me, you're going to be you have to win some games in Nashville. But I don't know, Scott. I think it's an 11 bid league. And I think, to me, certainly Oklahoma and Arkansas. Right now, I think Texas is on life support. Oklahoma and Arkansas still have a shot, but I really think Georgia, if they can take advantage of their schedule. In other words, you're at South Carolina. Not easy, but a winnable game on the road, and then you're at home against a good team, but you're still at home on Saturday, March the 8th. I just think if you're Georgia, if you can beat a Vanderbilt team who's in the tournament, that's a quality win. If you can get that done at home, then I think Mike White and the Dogs might sneak in. They might be in the first 4. Wouldn't surprise me as a 10 or an 11 seed or a 12 or whatever the hell you want to say. But I think they could be in the tournament.
All right, I tell you what, 7:36. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll visit with the phone lines and get some more basketball. Plus, start flipping the script to some college football. 97.7 ESPN The Zoom.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Clouds begin to increase for this Monday night. Low temperatures going to be falling into the upper 40s. Heading into our Tuesday, that's when we're going to see the risk for a few strong to severe thunderstorms to develop in the afternoon. We could be seeing damaging wind gusts and potentially heavy rainfall. High temperatures going to be warming to near 70 degrees for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Not a bad looking ride in so far this morning. I don't think we've had anything accident wise. Of course, now that I've said that, that will change quickly. Just be careful. Put some extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong around you. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. If you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Neck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Atlanta Braves spring training is on from Florida, and this 2025 Brave squad is ready to get after it in Northport.
And he waylays this thing way downtown. Swung on a fly ball, deep left center field, heading towards the gap, and it's down for a base hit. Acuna hits the bag at third. Here he comes. Michael Harris taking no prisoners. It's a sweep.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Howdy, folks. Bob Baumhauer here. Whether you're planning a tailgate party at the game, cheering for your favorite teams at home, or at your local Baumhauers with your family and friends, we're here to make your football party legendary with our party-ready tray selections. From our always fresh buttermilk fried chicken tenders to the homemade Nana's chicken salad, and of course, our fresh, never frozen, award-winning buffalo-style chicken wings. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
We are your home for March Madness. We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
7:40 on a Monday morning, Talking Ball. We're live from Bill Penny Toyota here in the service department. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then on Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5. They can service your vehicle, and they're also hiring as well. You can get benefits like paid vacation, 401k, health, dental, vision, fast track promotion capabilities, free medical clinic on company insurance, all kinds of stuff. If you're interested in coming out here to Bill Penny Toyota, let's go out to the phone lines. Jeff from the Borough with us. Good morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Morning.
I was going to say, ESPN don't need to apologize to me, babe, because I love every minute of it. Way to go, babe. Love. You know what I'm talking about?
You mean when we couldn't finish watching the Auburn-Kentucky game because somebody pulled the plug?
You know what happened, though? It wasn't that. It wasn't that. Nobody pulled the plug. Nobody pulled the plug on it, Scott. I know that's what you think, but nobody pulled the plug. One of the generators.
Oh, I'm just laughing at it.
Okay?
Nobody
cares. Nobody's worried about Bruce Pearl. Like I told people before, you get ants in your pants when you win in Rep Arena. When you ain't done it in 37 years.
A lot of people have.
Okay? You got a lot of people have. They get ants in their pants when they win in Rep Arena. I'm thanking God and all this stuff. That's what he said Saturday. I want to call up and all this. So, I mean, great win for him. They played well. We ain't got Jackson Robinson now, but ain't nobody, like I said, nobody's going to feel sorry for us. And Scott gets every time I do, he's like, oh, Kentucky. No. Nobody's going to feel sorry for us, Scott. They want to see us go 0-16. Nobody wants to see us win. And then you know it and I know it. So don't give me this stuff about how I'm woe is me, Kentucky. It's not the way it is. If you don't think we're hated in the SEC in basketball, then I can't help you. If you don't think that. If you don't think that's the way it is. Okay, and I'm serious. I'm serious. Everybody knows it. Like our ex-players say, it's not about what's on the back, it's what's on the front. Because it ain't what's on the back, on the front of it. When we go somewhere, it's standing room only on the road. It's a standing room anytime we go. They want to beat us. You can talk about ex-players, whether football players are on their behind their bench and throwing stuff at them and stuff like that. Auburn players back in the 60s, they played in a little small place up here where their place, and they said that the fans were so close to them that the fans would pull the Kentucky players' shorts down trying to inbound the ball. They couldn't even get the ball inbounded. They played in that little, whatever the arena was, like 3,000 seats or whatever, back in the 50s, that when Rupp coached. If you don't think that, I mean, Auburn's got a great team, no doubt about it. They've got the talent. Do they have the coaching? That's what we're going to find out. We're going to find out real quick if they've got the coaching. They've been in the Final Four once, and they fouled the guy at Virginia, didn't they? 3 free throws. Oh, well, and lost in the semis. We're going to find out, Dave, if they win that national title. Can they win the Natty? We're going to find out. Guys,
yes, we will.
See y'all.
What'd he say?
Oh.
What did he say? You mean he didn't watch this game, but he remembers something from the 60s?
He's telling us somebody's got.
I thought he said something about pulling somebody's shorts down or something.
He was pulling somebody's pants down back in the 60s. He was de-pantsing people in the 60s.
Or something,
Oh,
I could say something, but I'd get in trouble.
Look, and he's talking about the fact that everybody fears Kentucky, and it's a big game. Yeah, it's a big game, but do people fear Kentucky like they used to?
Well, I mean, I don't know. They respect them. I mean, I certainly do. They have the number 1 tradition basketball-wise in the SEC, and they always will. I mean, they've got the passion. It's a basketball school. It's a blue blood. It's one of the top 3 or 4 of all time. Everybody understands that. They're going through a transition. This is Mark Pope's first year. If he does what he's supposed to do, recruits the way he needs to, that they'll continue to get better. They've had a rough year just simply because the injuries. If they had not had as many people hurt, Jackson Robinson, Lamont Butler, those kind of guys, they probably would have been a top 5 team. They would have had a chance to be in that top 4 because they swept Tennessee even anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they've just had so many injuries, and it's just been tough. And now with Jackson Robinson being done, like for the year, I mean, maybe they'll find some magic, but to me, it's going to be tough to get to that second weekend and get to the Sweet 16, depending on what kind of draw they get, because they're just not a good defensive team. I mean, I'll be honest. I thought Auburn was going to get 100, okay? And they nearly did in Rupp. I really did. I thought they were going to do what Alabama did and get a hundo, but they didn't do that. But again, I think Pope's had a good, solid first year, especially when you consider the injuries and everything that's happened. He's going to get them to the tournament. We'll see what kind of draw they get. We'll see how long they stay in Nashville. But again, they're banged up. But I do like their team. I like Amari Williams a lot. I think he's one of the better centers in the league. Love the way he passes the ball. I think he was definitely a quality portal addition, and it'll depend on, how healthy is Lamont Butler. Otega Owe, he can't disappear. like he did against Alabama.
Right.
He's got to do what he did against OU. He's and I thought he might do that against Auburn. I thought he might put on a Superman performance, but Auburn wouldn't have it done. I mean, Auburn defended the heck out of it. They switched on everything. They did a great job. But again, I just think Kentucky, they've got a ceiling this year, but we'll see what they do, in the transfer portal in the offseason. And then, they've got some good players committed. But again, I will say this, the SEC is a lot different. Okay. It's tougher.
Right.
I mean, this is, Kentucky is not going to dominate this league right now the way they used to. Are they going to be near the top of it, like in the top echelon?
Yes. And the expectations are for them to be there.
Not to be.
Right.
So, but it's not going to be one of these things where every year you can pencil or even put it in pen that Kentucky's 1 or 2 and Kentucky's going to be on the short list to win the SEC tournament like Calipari dominated it earlier in his tenure. That's not going to happen right now because the SEC's got too many good coaches and too many good programs. They're going to be in the mix, which is good enough, and which means they still have a chance to be elite. But as far as just dominating, sorry, not going to happen, bud.
Yep. All right, 7:47. Boy, we're just full of it this morning on a Monday morning. Chilling here at Bill Penny Toyota Service Department. I tell you what, let's get a break in. How about we wrap up hour 1 coming up next?
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wreck coming in from Ardmore now, 251 northbound at 6th Street. That's in Ardmore. I don't know about injury on that one. Everything else seems to be in order this morning. I don't see any major problems. You be careful on your trip in. Put extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You can make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Conference USA is bringing its premier basketball event back to the Rocket City. Don't miss the 2025 Conference USA Basketball Championships, March 11th through the 15th at the VBC Probst Arena, featuring 20 men's and women's basketball teams playing 18 games with CUSA titles and NCAA automatic bids on the line. Find out who's going to be putting on their dancing shoes. Tickets as low as $40. Visit Ticketmaster.com today to experience Conference USA hoops in the Rocket City, March 11th through 15th.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Hey, do you have heating and air issues as the springtime starts to roll around? Hey, there's just one name you need to know: Talent Heating and Air. #1 heating and air business right here in the Tennessee Valley.
Yeah, we're locally based. If you call, you're going to get somebody based in Huntsville. Mentioned in spring earlier, we can actually do indoor air quality products, so we can help alleviate those allergy problems you're having in your house.
All right, Thomas from Talent Heating and Air, give them the number that when they call, somebody live and local will pick up.
That's 256-503-42 844-944-90.
And you can always head to the World Wide Web and find Talent Heating and Air, and you guys will still respond.
That's talenthvac.com. If you don't want to talk to a person right away, you can fill out a form on there and get scheduled for a visit.
That's Talent Heating and Air. They're live, they're local. It's Talent Heating and Air.
AL certain number 21014.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio and have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Oh, yeah. That'll get you going on a Monday morning. We're getting you going on a Monday morning. It's Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back in. All ready to wrap up hour number 1 of the show. Coming up to kick off hour number 2, Nathan King will join us. Reflect on Auburn's win at Kentucky and the Tigers winning the SEC regular season basketball championship. Baseball had a good weekend for Auburn as well. Baseball had a good weekend for Alabama as well.
Yeah, Auburn got some high-quality wins. I mean, they beat Ohio State like a yard dog, and Alabama had to come back from a 10-0 deficit to beat the Buckeyes, and then, you know, they did a great job and beat Oregon State, who's ranked in the top 10, 8-7, and then beat Baylor 7-4 to end the 3 games. So they did a great job.
All right, 256-576-4977. That's the number of the phone lines. You can join us here in hour number 1. We'll also get you set in hour number 2 in a little bit here on the fact that it is time for spring football to begin. Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, they will get started today. Kalen DeBoer will meet the media later this morning as he will give us an update on anything during the past few months and a look ahead to spring football. But it should be and promises to be an interesting spring because obviously the quarterback spot for Alabama, the spot that'll get the most attention on who is going to be under center come the start of fall and for that first game.
Yep, first practice today. And, you know, Alabama's A-Day will be April the 12th. We've already talked about Auburn kind of condensing theirs. And by the way, shout out and prayers to Hugh Freeze, you know, yes, with the cancer diagnosis.
Prostate
cancer. They caught it very early. But it, again, any kind of health scare like that, nobody wants anyone to go through something of that nature. But luckily, they caught it early, and I guess now that Auburn had pushed back their spring practices is going to be to an advantage there. But again, they're gonna condense theirs into basically 3 weeks, and Alabama, they're gonna have a spring break, I think, in between theirs. But they're starting today, and they will wrap up. Both will wrap up on April the 12th. Alabama's A-Day, I believe, now has been announced at noon, and it will not be televised. And I think a lot of that is because of the transfer portal and things of that nature. But hey, that's just the way it is. I mean, look, I don't think it's that big a deal changing these spring games, even if they're not completely spring games, if they're just some sort of 7-on-7 event or something like that. It's not a true game. Look, man, as long as you get your couple of scrimmages in during spring, I don't really care about the A-Day game not being televised and not being a true game.
Right.
Because again, and I know some people are upset about it because the fans, as far as the wrap up, the A-Day game, the A-Day day, whatever you want to call it, the festivities. That's the ones that they try to draw the fans to.
Right.
But actually, if it's not televised, then it's easier to draw fans to campus and into the stadium because, hey, the only way you're going to see it is if you're actually there.
Right.
And two, I know it may not be a true game format, but that's just the way it is this day and time. I mean, you still be able to see these guys perform, see them practice in some form or fashion. And I still think it's beneficial for all parties. I just look, man, with the way the transfer portal and NIL is, and you're trying to kind of protect and manage and the injuries. I understand.
Right, because depth is a huge concern. But think about this. I mean, I know a lot of people say, well, man, I really want to get to watch A-Day because I can't afford a ticket during the regular season. I can't go there. You know, I want to go watch the spring game. And then you say, well, you know what? It's all changed. Think about this. A couple of years ago, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, whatever, they would have autograph signings.
Yeah.
You could line up for free and get as many players as you wanted. You'd get a poster and you could line up and get all the autographs you wanted for free.
Well,
you can't do that anymore either.
You got to
pay,
Alabama, man.
Yeah, you got to pay to get those now. So even that aspect has changed.
But things change. That's
Yes.
just the way it is. You got
That's the point.
You got to adapt or die.
Yes.
Okay. And that's just, I know some of the fans don't like it, and I understand their frustration, but that's just the way it is. And, you have to decide and prioritize what you want to do. And again, especially with these, and I got news for them. In most cases, go back and watch these spring games. They're scaled way back. They don't show you anything. That's why it used to crack me up when I would get messages. Alabama during Saban's salad days. Alabama's an 8-5 team. They're terrible. That's what I'd get messages. They'd be like, the quarterbacks look awful. The offensive line can't block anybody. Or they gave up a 90-yard touchdown drive. Like they're awful. I'm like, you do know this is the A-Day game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're overreacting. Oh, Will Reichert missed 3 field goals. He stinks. Like, just relax.
You put guys in different spots lots of times in spring.
Yeah.
Because you do a little bit of experimentation. If you want a guy to play, if you think he can play strong safety, then put him there. But chances are he's probably not going to play there in the fall.
Yeah.
You shuffle around your offensive line just to give guys some different looks to see maybe you might be missing somebody in a different spot. So you kind of flip things around. And, guess what? If you're nicked up just 1/10 of an inch, you're not going to play because we don't want to get you further hurt for the fall. I mean, it's spring games. Lots of it doesn't mean a ton in these coaches' eyes. It's the practices and it's the reps and everything else that means everything. Hour 2 coming up next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. For a limited time, GBank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a GBank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
Christopher Bell has won back-to-back races to start the Cup Series season, wins at Daytona and Austin. He's 4-1 to win the Cup Series title as they head to Phoenix for Week 3. Coming up today, North Alabama hosting Austin Peay in the quarterfinals of the Atlantic Sun Tournament at Flowers Hall. The Lions are 12.5-point favorites over the Governors, 144.5 the total. North Alabama 2-1 to win the Atlantic Sun Tournament title and earn the league's only bid to the NCAA tournament. Lipscomb -170 to win the tournament title. They host Central Arkansas in the quarterfinals today as a 19.5-point favorite. For more, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is hour 2 of Talking Ball. We've been live from Bill Penny Toyota Service Department, just sitting out here. They've been busy working on cars. They've been doing that since 7 o'clock this morning when their doors rolled open.
People here at 6:45 because that's when I got here.
And you can also leave your vehicle overnight. You know what? You can bring it out here. Like, let's say you got to be here, you got to be to work before they open. You can just drop your vehicle off. You park it in front of the door. You drop your keys in the little bin thing over there, and they'll pull your car in for you and get it serviced while you're not even here. But remember, if you got to get your car serviced and you need to jot around town, you can rent a car, you can get an Uber, 4 hours. And if you need it longer than that, then heck, you can just pay the rest of it, and you can rent a car here from Bill Penny Toyota. It's reliability, versatility, rentability here at Bill Penny Toyota. Now, Sportsmed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center helping us kick off hour number 2. You can give them a call, 256-881-5151, to experience that Sportsmed difference. It's Sportsmed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, the official medical providers for the Rocket City Trash Pandas and the UAH Chargers. We'll talk more about UAH tomorrow. Big day tomorrow on campus for the Chargers. Big weekend for the Auburn Tigers, especially on the basketball court, as they claim the SEC regular season title. Now, after their win at Kentucky, they had a share of the regular season title. Alabama falls. They get the regular season title outright, but an historic, Bruce Pearl's all about talking about history, and they notched some history on Saturday with that win in Lexington.
Emphatically. I mean, I think it was according to our next guest, he does a great job for Auburn 24/7, Auburn Undercover, and he was there in Rupp Arena, and I believe it was the 6th worst loss in Rupp Arena history for the Kentucky Wildcats. But Auburn's been doing this all year. They're the best team in the country. I think everyone's figured that out. I mean, every challenge has been put in front of them. The crazy environment in Coleman Coliseum, College game day there, the biggest game in the history of the state. They handled business and led wire to wire. They basically did the same thing here in Rupp and just really just controlled this game. I mean, it was the closest I think Kentucky got in the second half was 13 points. This was just a dominating performance. And without Jonai Broome having his A game, certainly with Denver Jones getting hurt. But this is just a great basketball team. They have so many options. And our next guest was there, and he wrote a 3,500-word notebook that I think is outstanding that really kind of lays it all out for where this Auburn team is right now. We're going to talk to Nathan King, as he's been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Nathan, good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all?
We're good, man. And I think the biggest thing I took away from it is, and I'll be honest with you, Bruce Pearl has done so many things at Auburn and redefined their basketball program. We talked about it before you were in the first hour before you came on the show. It just is not registered in my head that Auburn had not won in Rupp Arena since John Kaler in 1988 and all this stuff. It just never occurred to me that that's the one thing in the SEC in 10 plus years that Bruce Pearl had not done. It was the last box he had to check. He did it at Tennessee. I had not realized with as many great teams as he's had at Auburn, he had not got this done. But Nathan, that was the last box he had to check within the conference, and they did it emphatically on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, like he said post-game, he's brought some good teams to Rupp before, some good Auburn teams. That Final Four team that Auburn had, their last loss before going on that run was a 30-point loss at Rupp. I mean, like they've brought some good teams there, and they've just been killed because that's what happens a lot of the time when you go to Rupp Arena. But this season obviously felt like a special opportunity for this team, number one, because Kentucky is not where it's used to being. They're going to end up with 8 or 9 SEC losses this season, and on the flip side, Auburn has been spectacular all year long. I keep going into games. I guess I'm just so close to things, and I'm not. I talk to people about, games Auburn has coming up. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see. And people are like, dude, like this is the best team in the country. Like they've been the best team in the country all year long. And I guess I've just been too close to it to where I've been, they're going to Kentucky. It's going to be really, really difficult for them to win. And that's, while that's true, there is no reason now at this point, going forward, where we know if Auburn plays well, if Auburn plays its best, no one's going to beat this team. That's in the SEC. That's in the NCAA tournament. From here on out, I think it's all about how well Auburn plays. I mean, and the matchups are obviously going to matter in the NCAA tournament. I saw a bracketology that had them going up against Illinois in the second round. That would obviously be a tough one. It's gonna depend a lot on that. But when this team is clicking, it's really, really difficult to slow them down. And it's funny that we talk about them playing so well in that environment and doing all that, because they basically, two of their starters were largely ineffective. Denver Jones got injured and had to leave the game, and Janai Broome had his third lowest scoring game of the season and didn't really do anything on offense, and yet they win in Rupp Arena by 16, and it could have been more. And so I think that just goes to show how dangerous this team is from a depth perspective, and how many different ways they can beat you. But obviously that's something we've already known about this group.
I loved Bruce Pearl's response when he was asked post game about, did he think that this Auburn team would be this good during the offseason going into the year, if they would be this good. I loved his response and his answer.
Yeah, he said he didn't think they would be this good, but he knew that he had something special in the summer when he started constructing this roster.
Yeah,
because his entire focus in the offseason was bring back returning pieces and get them to improve a little bit. If everybody improves a little bit, then you combine that all together and it's going to be a pretty good product, because they already had a pretty good team last year. But if guys like Denver Jones took another step forward, Chad Baker-Mazara, Chaney Johnson, Dylan Cardwell becoming a starter, and then Janai Broome going from an All-American to a National Player of the Year contender, all of those things happened. And that's what he talked about. He said he knew that the trust and the chemistry was there when he told all his returning players that, like, hey, not going to go get anybody else. You guys, I'm just counting on you guys to be better, and that's gonna help us win a championship. He said it was from that point forward in the offseason that he felt like the team really trusted him, and boy, it's just been, they have so much energy and confidence, and they talked about that after the game too. I mean, really, just Bruce Pearl, and he's done this throughout his Auburn tenure. If a player wants to do something in a game and they feel like it's in their best interest and that they're confident in doing it, he rarely is going to reel them back from doing that. I mean, Miles Kelly is a perfect example of it. In this game, hits a couple threes early, and from there he's off. And Bruce Pearl's going to let him take as many threes as he wants, and then he ends up putting 9 of them in the basket. And so it proves to be a good decision. And so, no, I mean, this team has so many weapons. I mean, I was sitting next to our buddy Justin Ferguson during the game, and I think Kentucky had a response. And then Auburn went down, and Chad Baker-Mazara hit a 3 from the corner, and it just kind of felt like just groans from Kentucky fans, because they felt like they were maybe having an opportunity to trim the lead. And Ferg leans over to me and he just says, "Too many dudes," and that's what it is. It's too many guys who are going to beat you. Too many guys that are capable of doing it night in and night out. And again, to do it not without Janai Broome, but Janai Broome very, very ineffective relative to what we're used to him doing is obviously very impressive.
No, it's even more impressive, though, when you put it in this context, because I think Dylan Cardwell is one of the better role players in the SEC, but he has 0 points. Our good friend Chaney Johnson, Scott and I know so well, has 3 points. They did not get, and then Denver only plays 8 minutes and has 4, and yet they still win this game, and not just win it going away and empty the arena with 8 minutes to go. So that just shows you how good this team is. Chad Baker-Mazara was unreal. You talked about Kelly's 9 threes. He has 30. And then a great bounce back offensive game from Tahad Pettiford, who had been struggling a little bit from the field, but doing other things well.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, Tahad was huge in this game, because as we mentioned, Denver Jones went out 8:33 left in the first half, had a bone bruise in his ankle, got an x-ray during the game. Sounds like he's going to be fine. He came back out and kind of jogged a little bit, gave it a go, continued to have the trainers stretch out his ankle, but it just, I mean, especially with how well Auburn was playing and how well Todd Pettiford was playing. I mean, there was no reason to push that. I'm in terms of his status for Tuesday at Texas A&M. Obviously, we're going to talk to Bruce Pearl today and hear more about that. But this team's in an interesting situation. Like it's not often in the sport of college basketball that, and I hate to say all their goals because they want to win as many games as possible. That's they think they're the best team in the country. They want to go out and just keep on winning. But it's pretty wild that here we are in the last week of the regular season. This team has accomplished every single one of its goals. Like it's done, and it's wild to say. They've clinched the regular season title outright, and for my money, they've clinched the number 1 overall seed. I think that's not. I don't think that's a hot take. I mean, like that's kind of impossible at this point for anyone to catch them. I thought a win in any of these last 3 games would have clinched that for them. I mean, no one's going to touch 16 quad 1 wins. I mean, so they have put themselves in perfect position for March. And now you've got these 2 games remaining where it's like, if this was the pros, they'd rest their starters.
Yeah.
If this was the NFL, you put all your starters on the bench. But this is the college game. They're not going to do that. Janai Broome thinks he's got a National Player of the Year award to go out and win. He's going to try to do that. And this team, I think there's something to be said. I'm interested for Bruce Pearl to hear his perspective on this today with these 2 games left. But, like, this team doesn't want to shake their confidence. They've done such a good job of playing week after week and preparing week after week. I don't think I think I know for a fact you don't change any of that. You don't say, well, there's really nothing on the line Tuesday at Reed Arena. Let's take it easy. No, you don't put the possibility in there of throwing off your routine that has been so successful all year long. Same goes for the SEC tournament. Unless Auburn wins the SEC tournament, completely pointless. Like it could not matter less for this team unless they go in there and win it all and hang another banner and stuff. That being said, there needs to be no stakes involved when you play Alabama. Like that game on Saturday, Auburn could be in the Sun Belt with a losing record, with 0 wins, and they would get up for that game, and it would be a monster game. Obviously, they're gonna cut down nets at home, and so interesting situation this team is in. These last couple games, gonna try to continue to keep on rolling, but man, for them to have won this league out, if you had told me before the season Auburn's going to win the league outright with a full week of games left to go in the regular season, I mean, it's in this conference, it's just borderline unbelievable what they've done this year.
Well, I don't think anybody, Nathan, I think anybody would have said the same thing. I mean, just of how good we thought this league was, and some say it's one of the best leagues all time right now in basketball. That to win that, nobody would have taken. I don't think any team with a week left to win the league.
Yeah, I mean, I remember people saying before the year started, like, is 13 wins going to be good enough to win the league? 14-4. Yeah. Maybe 14-4 is good enough to win it outright. And the funny thing is, I think that's probably still a possibility when you look at like what Alabama and Florida have to do this week. If Auburn had just gone 14-4, maybe they still would have won the league outright because it has been so difficult for everyone else. And Bruce Pearl said it in his pregame message. I think Auburn had a video. I think it was on the ABC as well before the game, talking about getting his team ready to go out there and play. And he said to them, "Look, you played 15 SEC games. They've played 15 SEC games. What's your record? 14-1. What's their record? 8-7." And he's just trying to say, like, everyone has the same opportunities y'all have had to get up every game and prepare and go out there and do it. And you are so much better than everyone else at preparing, at playing. You deserve to go out there and win a championship, and that's exactly what they did. And so I just think the timing of it all too. Like, you played so well in your last game in February. You destroyed Ole Miss by 30 points. You just won at Rupp Arena, a historic win where you could have won by more. You basically won by 20 points at Kentucky. I mean, it's just a great way to start March. March is all about confidence. March is all about playing with confidence. March is all about getting your best players to feel like they're playing well. And other than Janai Broome, from this last game, which we know he's going to bounce back, Auburn's pretty much entire lineup feels really, really good right now. That's obviously a massive key as they're hoping to make a run in March Madness.
Do you think there's a possibility he could rest Denver Jones against Missouri? I don't think there's any way he would rest him against Alabama. It's a senior day. It's one of those things where it's a very important rivalry. But in order to maybe have him much closer to 100%, do you think there's a possibility he could give Pettiford maybe his first start and then maybe have go to Joe Nybroom and say, hey, big dog, we need more out of you today because we're going to be down a guy, and rest him and maybe get him ready for the end of the regular season to go into Nashville?
I think it's probably a decent possibility Denver Jones does not play tomorrow night against Texas A&M, just because the insinuation from Bruce after the Kentucky game was like, he's fine, it's not a big injury, but it is still an injury. It is still something that's bothering him, and that clearly kept him out of that game. There's just no reason. If he's fine, he'll play. Like, if he's medically cleared, he'll play. But there's no reason. Like I said, this is one of the lowest stakes games. I mean, in the recent history for Auburn basketball, there is quite literally nothing on the line tomorrow night. It could not be less important of a game. That said, all those things I just talked about, you want to keep playing confident. Like, this team doesn't want to throw off their routine. I think you give Todd Pettiford the start tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Denver Jones sit out that one. I wouldn't be surprised, if he's not fully healthy. And like you said, senior day, that would kind of suck against Alabama. But if he's not fully healthy, I'd sit him against Alabama too. I mean, again, this you want to beat Alabama, you want to beat your rival, and they're going to try to do that as best of their ability, because they would love to do that and then cut down the net, 10 minutes later. But they're not going to push it, and they're probably not going to push it in Nashville either. If Janai Broom, he kind of hurt that shoulder a little bit. Seemed like it bothered him. He went to the locker room against Kentucky, came back.
That's right. Good point.
Sort of concern. If that's any sort of concern for him, which I don't think it is, but I think you put him on that availability report. Like, again, there is no reason whatsoever for you to take any sort of risk. You want this team 100% healthy and 100% ready to go when the NCAA tournament starts.
Yeah, and that's something too. I guarantee you, Auburn wants to go out and change the story, the narrative of last year's opening round loss. I'm sure that is on the back of their mind. With this team has wanted to prove something all year, and I am sure of it, that when they get to that first round, they want to prove that last year was just last year.
I think that's sort of been an underlying narrative for this team. When you look at the last two teams that have been in their position, now Purdue and Virginia, when they were 1 seed, they lost. That is way more historic. A 4 seed loses to a 13 seed all the time. Not super out of the ordinary, but it felt so painful for them last year because they felt like they were so good. They felt like they were rolling, and they were a darling. They were a pick. Like, hey, let's get this team against UConn in the Sweet 16 and see what happens. I mean, like, it was just very, very sudden and unexpected after they had played so well in the SC tournament. I think that's an underlying storyline for this team. I think they are extremely, extremely motivated to make amends for that. And then, boy, if they can, I mean, that second round game is obviously going to be so important. It's always, 8-9 matchups are always really important because you can get a tricky matchup there. But I just think this team is so motivated to get to Atlanta. Like, I mean, if you get to the second weekend and you're playing in State Farm, the largest Auburn alumni base in the country, and every time you played in State Farm under Bruce Pearl, it's just an Auburn home game, but bigger. Like, that is such an incredible backdrop for them to try to win 2 more games and go to the Final Four. And so that's going to be their motivation. Like, hey, let's do this thing in Lexington. Let's win 2 games there in the first weekend. Because when you get to Atlanta, everyone in that building, or at least 80% of that building, is going to have your back and be pushing you to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, and then one final thing, prayers out to Hugh Freeze. That kind of came out of left field. No one was aware of his health concerns, but the prostate cancer diagnosis, Nathan. But obviously, it sounds like they caught it very early.
Yeah, that's obviously a huge blessing there. Is that seems like everything is going to be fine for Hugh Freeze. Like they said in their statement, no expectation of any changes in his coaching duties this spring or even right now. With recruiting coming up, like it seems like everything is all good. And Bruce Pearl, I think it was the timing is something you gotta think about, because Bruce Pearl, the outlive game that they had month and a half ago against Tennessee. That's what they talk about. That's what they try to push. They try to push for early testing. And obviously, I'm not saying it was at the outlive game, but that was clearly something that benefited Hugh Freeze in a huge way. In this situation was getting tested early. And so, yeah, obviously, like you said, that came out of left field on Friday, but it seems like seems like they avoided the worst, and obviously everybody hoping that that Hugh Freeze can make that full recovery and be just fine for football season.
Well, great job, Nathan, man. Thanks for the time. We know you're a very busy guy. Let everybody know how to follow you guys at Auburn 24/7 and Auburn Undercover and what you guys have going on.
For sure. AuburnUndercover.com. It's busy, super busy time of year. Obviously, softball and baseball were doing their thing over the weekend. Spring practice will be here before we know it, but obviously it's basketball. Basketball is the focus, and we'll see what happens this week heading into the postseason.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Nathan King, kind enough to spend some time with us. Let's get a break in, shall we? Talk a little more college football coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Cataract University in Henderson. That one is coming in as an injury type. Picked up one in Athens, 72 eastbound at Burr Green. And we've got one eastbound 565 at the Parkway. Looks like we're already getting a pretty good backup there in the turning lane trying to go southbound on the Parkway. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
Buckhorn Youth Sports was created in 2018 to provide kids in our community the ability to compete at every sport possible. We offer football, flag and tackle, cheer, volleyball, wrestling, basketball, baseball, and softball. You can find us on Facebook at Buckhorn Youth Sports, where we prepare the future. Buckhorn Youth Sports is a proud supporter of Buckhorn High School football. Go Bucks!
Damn, there's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Gotta stretch the old body out. Welcome back.
back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
That's better than Coke in your ass.
You just, all I heard was Coke on your ass.
Yeah. I'm transparent on this show.
Well, wait,
not
what I'm thinking. I'm the 1980s, Paradise City. I mean, I'm thinking Coke on your ass.
Jeez. I wasn't going there. Jesus. Like a behind the music episode.
That's what
Ozzy Osbourne on the bus.
I'm hearing the music, and he's like, "Oh, better than Coke on your ass," and I'm going, "Well."
Here's the ironic part: Axel didn't do that.
No. Oh boy.
Oh Lordy.
256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can join us here on a Monday morning as we're live from Bill Penny Toyota. Now, coming up here in just a little bit, we'll get you, and we'll start getting the stage set for Alabama spring football, Alabama basketball, reacting to the tough loss in Knoxville and looking ahead to spring football for Alabama. And I know we closed out hour number one talking about Alabama spring football. But I mean, it's hard to believe when you look at this lineup and going into next year, after everything he's been through, it's hard to believe that Caden Proctor will be a junior already.
Right.
I mean, my goodness.
It flies by.
It does fly by.
Yeah.
But you look at that offensive line, you look at the defensive line, you look at some of these other positions, and it'll be interesting to see how some of it unfolds. The good news is, you don't have to worry about the center position. Parker Brailsford is back, and that spot there should make whoever is the quarterback a little bit easier, you would think.
Well, I mean, you've got three spots. Jaden Roberts, if he's back healthy, he was banged up for much of the year. He proved he's an all-SEC level guard. Caden, I thought, had a better sophomore year, still. And all that said, he played with a torn labrum all year, so he's probably going to be very limited in spring practice. So guys like Jackson Lloyd and Anagwam, the transfer from Ball State, are going to get a lot of reps. Wilkin Formby. But Wilkin, I thought, made progress at right tackle. Now they got rid of Elijah Pritchett, who I think was more addition by subtraction,
right?
Because I don't think he was very good at times. He's gone to Nebraska to be a problem. But I think Wilkin, I think he's got a chance to be really good. I think it's important to him when you have Jaden Roberts with experience, Brailsford, Caden Proctor. It's going to be the left guard spot. They've got to figure it out. I mean, Gino Vandermark, who came from Michigan State, is going to be competing. Cam Dewberry from Texas A&M. Michael Carroll, the true freshman. It'll probably be a three-way dance there at left guard to see who's going to win it. And the good thing about Vandermark is he's a guy as a backup that can play pretty much all three interior spots. So he can back you up at all three of those. Dewberry is more of a guard. He played quite a bit at Texas A&M, perhaps, and this is his last go-around. He potentially, if Carroll's not quite ready yet,
right,
he can be a bridge. So, but I think the offensive line has a chance to be good, no question about it. Kapolovic, I think, has done a really good job recruiting. I thought they took steps forward last year, but they were banged up. But if they can be healthy and then have a quarterback that can execute the plan, that is better from the neck up, that can throw the ball on time, can throw the ball with anticipation and accuracy, have some pocket presence, I think it will help the offensive line. I don't think they were helped the last 2 years, especially considering the guy can run a 4.4 and he wasn't a willing runner unless it was a design run. So I just think overall the offense was hamstrung at the quarterback position. I think it was 90% of the problem. I think the other, most of the other 10%, maybe 2 or 3% was the offensive line. I think the other 7% or so was wide receiver. I don't think there was enough. Some of them were hurt, like Jalen Hale and Cole Adams,
right?
And they had Ryan Williams and of course Jeremy Bernard, who had good years, but they didn't have enough functional guys that were playmakers. And I think that's another thing that's going to help them going into next year and be more comfortable in Kalen DeBoer's system. And then having a guy like Ryan Grubb, who he has history with, they've had a lot of success. I think it's going to help the synergy of the coaching staff.
All right. Let's get a break in because Jack Knowlton needs to come on. We need to get his thoughts.
Speaking of Alabama.
Yep, we need to get his thoughts on the loss to Tennessee on Saturday on the hardwood and a look ahead to Kalen DeBoer's second spring go-around with Alabama. All that and more next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Expect to see partly sunshine for this Monday. High temperatures going to be warming into the lower 60s. Increasing clouds are going to be expected. Low temperatures going to fall into the upper 40s for the overnight. Heading into Tuesday, that's when we've got the risk for a few strong to severe thunderstorms to develop in the afternoon. High temperatures topping out near 70 for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN. The Zone.
We aren't a winning school. We are a championship school, and we make legends. Join the Crimson Tide as they look to continue to rise to the top of the NCAA basketball mountain. Every game, all season, right here on your home for Alabama basketball, the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Hi, folks. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to come test drive any one of our over 100 F-150s. From rock-solid, dependable work trucks to our state-of-the-art Platinum Series, we've got an F-150 for you. Test drive one today, and you'll understand why the F-150 is the best-selling truck in America, going on 48 years in a row. Just as successful offenses and defenses are built on teamwork, Woody Anderson Ford is powered by our people. Our sales and service teams are well trained to save you time and money. And because we want your business again and again, no one will work harder to earn it. Our mobile service teams come to your home or business for oil changes, brake work, tire rotations, and more. And the great thing is you don't pay extra for it. We come to you with mobile service at no extra charge. Proud to be local, family-owned, and at your service for over 62 years. Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore.
Got a major backup on 565. I heard somebody say that it goes just about back to Decatur. There's a wreck on the Parkway just after exit 19A. It's causing all the problem there. It's going to be a while before they get that one clear. We got a new wreck in Decatur, 31 northbound at Plaza. Got one in Athens, 72 eastbound at Burr Green. Everything else from earlier should be clear now. Are you over 35 and overweight? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Never miss 1 second of Charger basketball with the Charger Zone.
Murray attacks it, lobs it, jamming it down. It's Daniel Sandler on the alley-oop right out of the gate.
Only on 97.7 ESPN.com and the 97.7 ESPN The Zone app.
Oh, we
I don't know what really happened there.
We had two.
Escape didn't work.
Oh, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson,
That was
Drew
the weirdest
DeArmond.
one I think I've ever seen, I've ever heard.
We were going one direction and then we went the complete opposite direction.
I really don't know.
Don't know about that. That was good. Alabama suffers a tough one at the hands of Tennessee on Saturday in Knoxville. We talked about it. We heard Nate Oates in hour number 1 put a lot of the loss on himself there, especially down the stretch.
Well, if you follow this guy on X, and he does a great job for Tide Illustrated with his colleague Tony Sakalas and that crew, part of the Rivals Network. He does a great job covering both Alabama basketball and football, recruiting as well. But as he put it in his bio, March Madness enjoyer. So this is the best time of year if you're a basketball guy or if you cover college basketball, and he certainly does. And he was there in Knoxville covering the University of Alabama. A tough loss for the Tide. They led this game throughout. I actually thought in a loss they got better, but we're going to get his thoughts on it now as we welcome Jack Knowlton back to the show from Tide Illustrated. Jack, good morning. Do you agree with that? Do you think Alabama actually took some steps forward? What was your take in the aftermath of that tough loss to Tennessee on the road?
Well, you guys opened the show with saying the music went one way and went the other way. That was how the final 30 seconds of that game felt.
Yeah.
I actually do overall in terms of your question with regards to taking away some positives. Obviously, Nate Oates, I think rightfully took the blame for a lot of things that happened in that final 30-second stretch. And I think his assessment was right that, Alabama outplayed Tennessee, I thought, for 39 and a half minutes of that game. I thought they did a lot of the right stuff that they needed to do to beat a team like Tennessee, a team with, very clear defensive identity. They slowed the game down. We knew all of that coming in. And Alabama kind of played that game and still played it really well. I thought the physicality was great. I thought the defense, for the most part, was excellent. Obviously, you would have liked to have seen them take advantage a little bit more offensively when they got Zakai Ziegler in foul trouble in the first half. They didn't handle the end of the first half well either, for as bad as they also handled the end of the second half. So there's obviously some things to clean up, and now it's going to be on Nate Oates, right, to rally these guys and to say, you guys played well. Let's take the good from this game and try and apply it to these next two really difficult tests against Florida and Auburn. But I do think there's a lot of positives to take away still, as heartbreaking of a loss as it ended up being.
Nate Oates took a lot of the blame, but the one thing he can't take the blame for, and he can't whatever, is not making your free throws. And that comes back to the players, and that's something when that calendar turns to March, it's those little things, the turnovers and missing free throws especially, those are huge in March.
Absolutely. And when you play teams that protect the rim really well, you add on top of that, I think they shot 41% on layups. You have to get some more of those to go. But yeah, when you get fouled, this game was called really tightly, as every game in March is going to be called. I was listening to some the other day, and they pointed out a thing that I always remember in March. The refs in March Madness are playing to get to the next round too. They're trying to, earn their way to keep calling games and making money. So games get called a lot tighter. There's more free throws. You have to make your free ones, and that absolutely is on the players. You can't leave points at the line against a team like Tennessee that ranks in the top 5 in opponent scoring and opponent offensive efficiency. Doesn't give up easy shots basically, and so yeah, I agree with that. That is something that's going to have to be cleaned up. He's got on guys about making free throws before, and they've shown improvement in the next game. So I'm expecting more of the same from a free throw standpoint.
And then, Jack, they got some help, though, later during the night, as Missouri wasn't able to hold on in Nashville against Vanderbilt. So if they win on Wednesday against the Gators at home on Senior Day, they will clinch the double bye in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I think, a big thing to know going in, in terms of using that as a little bit of a motivator. I mean, certainly, a slip up in Knoxville, you don't want to follow that up with a slip up that could, spiral into missing that double bye, because that is an important thing for, as much as people want to debate on how far do you want to go in the SEC tournament versus, using up all your juice for March Madness, all these things. I mean, getting the double bye is still really important from a rest perspective and just from an achievement standpoint in a league that's been so good. So yeah, big opportunity against Florida, another team that, Alabama had its fair share of struggles with last year, and is a team that's incredibly balanced and is up in that upper echelon, challenging for that one line, just like they are.
Mark Sears' name has been mentioned a lot this year. I mean, it's
one minute it's the ups and downs, I should say, of Mark Sears, but boy, last 4 games he has been up as far as points and production. I mean, 24 there at Tennessee, 21 at Mississippi State, 30 against Kentucky, 35 in Missouri. Nate Oates has pushed the right buttons, I guess, with Mark Sears down the stretch.
He absolutely has. I mean, it's a shame that from an Alabama standpoint, that game didn't get defined by the shot he hit just before the collapse at the end there, because that whole possession to me against Tennessee kind of epitomized how that game was going for Alabama. They were scrapping. They got on a bunch of loose balls. And eventually, with the shot clock winding down, it was Mark Sears curling off a screen and just calling his own number, drilling that three. And it when you look ahead to March, when you need a guy to go get you a bucket, there's not very many more in the country that I would want over Mark Sears. And I think that's one of the most valuable things you can ask for in a player. But yeah, I think he truly has turned a corner. He has, firmly put LSU in any of the problems that, he was encountering from that game behind him. I think Nate Oates deserves a lot of credit as well for being open to changing the lineup to get a little bit more out of him. He has been so much better without being tasked with being the primary playmaker and the primary shot creator on this team. And yeah, he's just been awesome. And I think, they're gonna really depend on him as they did last year on the Final Four run. When they need a guy to go get a bucket, I mean, you can just put the ball in his hands, let him create, draw something up for him to hit a three. He's shooting with no fear right now, and that's a scary thing if you're Florida and Auburn trying to figure out how to stop him.
Well, I mean, now that I've already been asked this, by one of our listeners this morning, I know you guys will talk to Nate probably on Tuesday. Does Alabama try to get Darion Reed back into the flow, either at the end of the regular season or in Nashville to get him back in the rotation for the NCAA tournament, or is he really close to being shut down for the year?
It's really hard to tell. There's been some times where I've thought Nate is, when he's started to give an update, I'm thinking, all right, here we go. This is where he's going to say, we're just going to shut him down and let him just heal up. But I really think they will kind of keep him, sort of on ice until he's healthy. I think, with his defense and the versatility he brings, I think no matter when you get him back, I think he can still be pretty valuable for you. And it's just a matter of, if bringing him back, does he risk getting injured again? That could, hurt him for next year or whatever. And so it's tough. This is why, thankfully, I'm not paid to make these decisions, but I think if they do see a window where they can get him back and the risk is as minimized as it can be, obviously you're not going to completely have no risk. Look at Latrell Wright the last year, but I think if there's a window you can get him back, just his versatility on the defensive end, I think is important enough that you'd want to have him back for a March run. But, we'll see if he's, suffered whether it's another setback or things haven't gone well there. They could just opt to shut him down, not risk him any further.
Jack Knowlton joining us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline talking Alabama basketball. And Jack, today's also a big day as well because it is the kickoff of spring football for Alabama. Kalen DeBoer getting his second go-around as Alabama's coach in spring.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it. I'm looking forward to getting back out to watch a couple practices and to talk with him. Obviously, get the first time to talk to Ryan Grubb, the new OC. There's a lot to be excited for. Obviously, the QB battle is sort of the headline, right? But I think there's some interesting, kind of position battles we're going to watch from across the board. There's some stuff with the offensive line. I mean, replacing Tyler Booker is going to be no mean feat. I'm really excited to see how these transfers come out. We've got, Jalen Mbakwe, who looks like he's going to switch to the other side of the ball now. That's a fun storyline. I obviously follow recruiting, so a lot of these 2025 guys, I'm excited to see and hear about how they're kind of fitting in and embedding. Of course, Keelan Russell's the headliner there, but I'm really excited. This DB room too is a position group I'm really excited to watch. Coming in last year, seemingly the thinnest group on the team, and now maybe the best unit in terms of who you got back in Sabian Brown, Damani Jackson, the guys behind them. So there's a lot to be excited for. I'm looking forward to it.
And then to circle back before as we're finishing the conversation, last few minutes with Jack Knowlton, how do you see the Florida-Alabama matchup? Because to me, I think this is going to decide the 2 seed in the SEC tournament. Alabama would be a game ahead of Florida and then have the tiebreaker. I know that they lost to Tennessee, but Tennessee's got a tricky road trip against Ole Miss. I think there's a really good chance that Alabama could still get that 2 seed in Nashville, but we haven't seen them. They played Florida twice, last year, and boy, Florida's had a great basketball team. Then of course Florida sent them home in Nashville, so that's the last time they played. But talk about this matchup. I think it's a pretty fascinating when Florida's got great guard play, an underrated front court, but I like where Alabama's playing right now.
Yeah, I think Alabama is in a good spot in terms of how they're playing. Again, assuming you can, kind of subconsciously and mentally put that Tennessee loss behind you and not let it snowball. I think they are in a great place right now. This Florida team is really, really good. They are no joke. Like you said, this front court is the rebounding, I think, is one thing I'm going to be really looking for with Florida. They do have a really good front court. Obviously, Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin are kind of the headliners in the backcourt, but this team led by Alex Condon in the front court has they can put a lot of pressure on the rim. I think that's going to be a big area. This was a classic in Coleman last year.
Yeah,
so
it was.
I'm really excited. I think we're going to get something pretty similar to that. Alabama, we've learned a lot more about those 2 Florida losses since, right? NATO kind of talked about after that Tennessee game last year, they really, kind of got down on themselves and sort of let the season spiral. And there were those 2 losses to Florida kind of in there. So I think it will be a really good matchup, probably closer to that one in Coleman. It's a tough one to call. I won't be shocked if Florida comes in there and beats them, but what I will be shocked is if it's a blowout either way, because I think these are just 2 really good teams. Florida's really balanced. We'll have to see the front court battle. I think is the main thing I'm watching for.
Yeah, it's really going to be, I think, a great matchup, and not to mention the emotion of Senior Day, the last home game for guys like a Mark Sears. So it should be a great crowd, Jack, and then I think it's going to be a supercharged atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of been a bummer. I feel like obviously Auburn was massive, and this kind of feels like the biggest game in Coleman since then, at least as far as I can recall. I mean, Kentucky was pretty big this year, but they were a little banged up, and Mississippi State was kind of coming in there reeling. So yeah, Coleman hasn't had too many chances to get super rocking for like a top 5 opponent, as good as the SEC has been. A lot of Alabama's really good games have been kind of on the road here. So yeah, it's a chance for one last hurrah for Coleman this year to really get going. I'm sure we're going to hear a ton from Nate tomorrow when he talks and trying to rally up the fans. I don't know if we'll see a row of tents just because it's not Auburn, but I don't think that'll change the atmosphere. I think it'll be rocking tomorrow.
Well, good stuff, Jack.
Good job. We really appreciate it, Jack. Great stuff. Let everybody know how to follow you guys at Tide Illustrated.
Yeah, give us a subscription on Tide Illustrated. We'll obviously have a ton of spring football content as well. I'm at Jack Knowlton _ on X, so pretty easy. Give me a follow there as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Jack Knowlton, kind enough to spend some time with us. Looking back on Alabama's Tennessee matchup and looking ahead to Alabama's spring football. All right, let's cash it in one last time. Tomorrow's headlines will wrap us up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a major backup on 565. Heard somebody say that it goes just about back to Decatur. There's a wreck on the Parkway just after exit 19A. It's causing all the problem there. It's going to be a while before they get that one clear. We got a new wreck in Decatur, 31 northbound at Plaza. Got one in Athens, 72 eastbound at Burr Green. Everything else from earlier should be clear now. Are you over 35 and overweight? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
So the brackets are set for the SEC women's basketball tournament. Did you see this over the weekend? I did not know this is how it happened. But South Carolina got the #1 seed in the women's tournament over Texas, but it came down to a coin toss.
I thought that I had heard it was very likely to happen that way.
It did, and so Texas finished their game.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Sankey then does the coin toss, and the Texas women they watched it on the big screen inside the arena after their game. Watched Greg Sankey do the coin toss, and ultimately South Carolina prevails. They're the #1 seed. But it's just it's just kind of funny that because of, and the thing is we're going to get this a lot, I think, in college basketball, and we're going to get this a lot in college football because of the unbalanced scheduling. Because the way it is, it's hard to do all these tiebreakers. And before the tiebreakers were easy, you could in college basketball and college football. I mean, you mentioned the tiebreaker procedures, and they were very simple. They were very easy. Now, with the way we have the unbalanced scheduling in college athletics, we're going to see a lot more of these coin tosses happening because it's just the way it's going to be.
Well, I think, you're right about that. And it's unfortunate. I mean, we had Patrick Harding on the show Saturday.
Yes.
When we had our Saturday show, and they lost their area. They because they split with Hazel Green, they lost it on a coin flip, and it probably cost them a chance to go to sub-regionals because they had to play, a really good Mae Jemison team who had a lot of talent. You just never it was like a mixed bag. You never knew how they were going to play. And then Buckhorn lost in the first round. And didn't get out of the area tournament, even though they had a really good regular season. So it's tough to lose a coin flip. Like Coach said, that's hard to almost stomach when it's a 50-50 proposition.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But should we even have them? Should we even have coin tosses in college athletics in this day and time?
I mean, you would think there'd be some sort of tiebreaker with a common opponent or margin of victory or some kind of, I don't know.
Something other than just going and getting a quarter out of the pocket and saying, let's flip it and decide who's going to be the #1 seed.
Channel sneaker con thing I've watched 50 times where they're coin flipping over how much a dang pair of shoes is going to be.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I wish it kind of wouldn't come to that. But, of course, the tournament's going to be in Greenville, South Carolina. Alabama's the 6th seed. Ironically, if Auburn beats Florida, I think that's the 11 and 14. I think Florida's the 11, Auburn's the 14. If Auburn wins, they'll play Alabama in the second day of the tournament. Now, the Tide, if the Lady Tide can win, and I still think they're in the mix. I know they suffered a tough loss at Oklahoma on Sunday, 91-84. But they got that big win, last week in the last home game against LSU.
Right.
They could get a rematch with LSU in the quarterfinals. So we will see. It's going to be really interesting because I think Alabama, if they could get a couple wins in Greenville, I still think they can be a top 4 seed and host the first 2 rounds. Now, as Roger Hoover told us last week, he felt like they needed the 2 wins this past week to go 2-0 heading into Greenville to feel confident about a top 4 seed and hosting on campus. Now I think they need a couple of W's, which isn't inconceivable. I mean, now because when you look at it, if they beat LSU, then you're very likely to get Texas. And Texas and Vic Schaefer are playing outstanding basketball. They're trying to get a 1 seed in the NCAA women's tournament. Yep. But again, if you're Christy Curry in Alabama, you probably need a couple wins. But if you can get those wins, including beating LSU twice within a week, maybe you're on campus for the first 2 rounds.
All right, that's going to do it for today. Tomorrow, we'll set the stage for UAH. They've got a twin bill coming up tomorrow inside Spraggins Hall, opening round play at the Gulf South Conference basketball tournament. The women, they will be at home at 5:30. The men will be home at 7:30.
Are we saying it's an all UAH show tomorrow?
I'm just saying that we're just going to, we'll set the stage for it. I don't know what we'll have.
It should be, though.
It should be. We'll set the stage for what will be a blew out day there at Spraggins Hall. See you tomorrow.
Listen to UAH Charger basketball all season long.
So when we came out of the timeout, Coach Hedge had initially called a man play, and they ended up faking a zone. So the whole bench was yelling zone, zone, zone. So we tried to switch the play last second. We ended up getting confused. So Tommy swung it to me, and I initially was like, all right, I'm going to try and get to the rim right here. We're only down 2. We don't need a 3. And he flipped his hips real hard, and I tossed it back, and as soon as I let it go, I knew it was in.
Campbell to plug it in. 81-79 Union. Inbounds it goes. Dribbling it out from Tommy Murs. Swings it over to Campbell. Campbell on the wing for the lead. Blake Campbell. It's a 3 into the front court for the win. No good. No good. No good. Blake Campbell with some onions from Jackson, Tennessee.
97.7 ESPN The Zone. The Drive.
Both those guys have done a good job in what we've asked them to do, and both of them have developed nicely, and both of them have consistently made plays.
Wes and Steve.
Their decision-making, their judgment, their ability not to force things and take what the defense gives and distribute the ball with good decision-making down in, down out is, probably the only thing that's going to be any different about them, because it's not physical ability or talent. So it's intangibles, leadership, decision-making, judgment, and all those types of things. And, both guys have done a good job in that regard as well.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton each weekday afternoon starting at 5. We are your home of ESPN Radio. 97.7 The Zone.
You can now do more without it costing you more. Alabama's attractions have come together to offer the all-in-one ticket that downloads to your mobile device. No matter how many attractions listed on the ticket you see during the time span you bought, your price stays the same. Pick the right ticket option that best fits your schedule, and then enjoy more attractions without spending more. All-in-one tickets for different areas of Alabama are available at alabama.travel and other places where online tickets are sold. Brought to you by Alabama Tourism Department, the ABA, and this station.
Hey, brother. Saw you call.
John, I've been thinking about our days during the war, and
I'm on my way.
Thanks, man.
If you are a veteran struggling with depression, anxiety, or need someone to talk to, call 800-273-8255. Press 1. It's private and free 24/7. Call 800-273-8255 or visit vetsforhope.com. Sponsored by the Partners of Alabama's Challenge and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. your home of the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Is Sports Center. Good morning, I'm Doug Brown. Tempers flaring in Texas Sunday night. The Spurs and Thunder with a third quarter altercation that resulted in 3 ejections. Kenrich Williams and Lou Dort of the Thunder and Julian Champagny of the Spurs. The Thunder get the win, 146-132. Jalen Williams with a career-high 41 points. Women's basketball, don't call them under frogs anymore. 10th-ranked TCU wins its first Big 12 regular season title, beating number 17 Baylor in Waco 51-48. Sedona Prince with 16 points and 19 rebounds for the Horned Frogs. From the NHL, Devils center and leading scorer Jack Hughes leaves Sunday night's game against the Golden Knights after crashing headfirst into the boards. No word yet on the extent of his injury.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Sports Talk, 24/7, 365. Your full-time sports station.
You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Doesn't anyone do any work around this joint anymore?